Welcome back to ReJEWvination. It's Cheshvan, Mar Cheshvan. Everyone knows that in the month of Cheshvan, there's no Tanesim, there's no Yom Tov, there's no holidays, there's not even a fast day. And that brings us to this week's topic. If there's no Yom Tov, if there's no Tainus in the month of Cheshvan, what is it all about? What is the avodah of the month of Cheshvan? What are we supposed to be doing during Cheshvan? I heard an interesting idea from Rabbi Daniel Gladstein. He brought down from the Devash Tzuf. He said that the reason why Cheshvan is called Mar Cheshvan is because Mar is kind of like Mr., right? In the Gemara we always have Mar, Bar Rav Ashi, Mar Ukva. Mar is a title, an honorific title. And it says the reason why Cheshvan is called Mar Cheshvan, Mr. Cheshvan, so to speak, is because Cheshvan sets the tone for the entire year. How does Cheshvan set the tone for the entire year? So Daniel Gladstein explained that depending on whether the month of Cheshvan has 29 days or 30 days, that'll determine the months going forward, how many days each month is going to have. But I'd like to propose another way, possibly, how Cheshvan, the month of Cheshvan, determines how the rest of the year is going to go. In the Sefer Pri Tzadik from Rav Tzaddik HaKohen, he says that what's the avodah of the month of Cheshvan? He says, Loko me'anafila ulahachnis atzmai l'kedusha v'yiras Hashem. The avodah of the month of Cheshvan is to get up from the fall, to get back up. That's the avodah of the month of Cheshvan. The Shem Shmuel, or Shmuel Sachachav, says a little bit differently. The Sachachav says, what's the avodah of Cheshvan? He says, Tishrei is all about the Asay Toiv, doing good. Cheshvan is all about Sur Meirah, staying away from bad. So I want to explain a little bit what this means, that the month of Cheshvan is about Lakum Anafila, getting up from the fall. It's about the Sur Meirah. I want to explain based on the following. They did a study when it comes to New Year resolutions. Everybody knows that most New Year's resolutions do not stick. Everybody starts off January 1st, all starry-eyed. By the time February comes, I think the number is 40% have already stopped doing the New Year's resolutions, and by the time the end of the year comes, it's close to 80% of people that have stopped doing the New Year's resolutions. But they did a very interesting study in which they found, and I believe it was out of the University of Stanford, I don't remember 100% for sure, but they did a very interesting study where they found that those folks that failed on their New Year's resolution in the month of January, let's say they're going on a diet, whatever it is, and they already messed up during the month of January. However, for the month of February, they said, that's it, I'm trying again. Those that went and recalibrated themselves and they recommitted for the month of February were more likely to stick to their New Year's resolution than those that hadn't messed up in January. Again, those that hadn't messed up in January on their New Year's resolution were less likely to stay committed to their New Year's resolution for the long term than those who messed up and recommitted themselves to their resolution for the month of February. And what's the reason? The reason is because those that messed up and decided anyways to get back up and try again, to recalibrate, to figure out what it was to recommit and to start over, they had the opportunity to learn from what went wrong. They had the opportunity to learn from their failures, to learn and to say, you know what, I messed up. Now I know what triggers me. Now I know what I have to be careful about. They were in a much stronger footing than those that didn't mess up during the month of January and were more likely to succeed longer than those who hadn't messed up during the month of January. Rosh Hashanah was a little bit more than a month ago. It seems like it was eons ago, but it was a little bit more than a month ago. A little bit more than a month ago, we were standing there, like the Shem Shmuel says, we were in the matziv of Asay Tov. We're in the situation of doing something good, being makabel for the new year, taking something on, saying how this year was going to be different. This year, we were going to be different people. But what happens? The inspiration wanes. The aspirations disappear. Winter's coming. Real life is coming. We're back to the grind. We're back to school. We're back to work. And those lofty ideals we felt and we had, we're lucky if we still have them. A lot of us do not have them anymore. We've already fallen, and we already said, yeah, we try too hard, we push too hard, we can't do it. Says the Shem Shmuel, the Sachatraver, what's he saying? That what's the avodah of the month of Cheshvan? The avodah is the Sor Meirah, not the Asi Tov, not to remake new Kabbalahs, but to remember the old Kabbalah and Sor Meirah. Stay away from the things that are drawing us off the path. Stay away from what we've seen over the past month is pulling us in a direction we don't want to go. As Tzaddik HaKohen says in Pri Tzadik, what does Tzaddik HaKohen say? What's the avodah? Lo kaman afila. Yes, we might have fallen. It was only a month ago. We couldn't even do our Kabbalah. We couldn't do our resolution for 1 month. Okay, but what's the avodah right now? Lo kaman afila. To get up from the nefila. To get back up, to recommit, to recalibrate, to rejuvenate, and not hibernate. But to recommit ourselves for the winter coming and to say, I'm going to try again. I'm going to start again. I'm going to take a minute to rethink what it was that I wanted Rosh Hashanah, how it was that I messed up. What can I do differently? As we see in the study when it comes to the New Year's resolutions, I don't know if they ever did any studies when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur resolutions, but I imagine they're kind of similar, that those who recommit and recalibrate for the month of February were more likely to be more successful in their resolution than those that hadn't fallen in the month of January. And if we could lock a man and feel, if we could get up from the Nefila, if we could work on the Sor Meirah, the month of Cheshvan, we're going to be more likely to succeed as if more than if we hadn't even fallen, if we hadn't even messed up to begin with. That's what it means when it says it's Yiri L'Tzarech Aliyah, that when we have a descent and then we ascend from that descent, we are so much more strong, we are so much more powerful than we were before we fell. And perhaps that's why in the month of Cheshvan, there's no Yom Tov, there's no Tainus, there's no distractions. There's nothing we're supposed to be working on. You know why? Because we're supposed to be working on ourselves. No external Yom Tov, no external Tainus, no external factor. Mar Cheshvan is about the internal work, about working on ourselves, taking a minute, a quiet moment to reflect and to think back what we wanted, what we could do. And that will determine how the rest of the year goes. That will determine how this winter is going to go. Let's try to challenge ourselves this Mar Cheshvan. Let's try to challenge ourselves this month to stop, to pause, to think what it is that we wanted. Are we still committed? And can we recommit?